Hi and welcome to the Cobb. I'm Sharan.
And I'm Sudeep.
Sudeep, looks like quite a few people are following you. You're becoming a celebrity. So the peak of being a celebrity is about getting to judge other celebrities. What is this I hear you being a judge on certain shows?
No show, Ray. And not celebrity at all. I think I've been part of a few jury duties this time around. And that is because they want somebody who is holding a certain designation in an organization, such their jury roster looks impressive. So it is just the designation, not me. So don't worry about it.
You're adding glory to every board you're sitting on. It's wonderful. But
No, not at all.
You are judging marketers. You're a marketing boss, so you judge marketers anyway. But when you sit in for awards, how do you judge marketing or marketers?
So I don't judge marketers. Okay, so, I was reflecting on this experience that I had while judging EMVIES. And prior to this, I had also done EFFIES.
So what are the EMVIES?
Again, EFFIES and EMVIES both are marketing awards that recognize work done on brands by marketing teams and their agencies. EFFIES specifically focuses on effectiveness of the marketing campaign, while EMVIES gives you a little bit more well-rounded marks for strategic problem that you were solving, the big idea that you came up with, what is the kind of execution that you had, and what is the kind of results that you've shown. So that's how both of these position, and both of them are held by two different marketing advertising bodies. And both of them are prestigious in their own right. So when I was on the jury and I was going through the case studies, etc., even I was wondering in the back of my mind, what impresses me about a certain case when it is presented to me.
So tell us behind the scenes, if I'm a marketer applying for awards and I know you're on the jury, what impresses you? What impresses the jury to win these awards?
It is not about me. I'm sure even if you're not applying for awards and you're doing marketing work in general, whatever I am going to say now is equally, applicable. And my, way of articulating this is that I am a big fan of effectiveness and efficiency in that order.
Effectiveness and efficiency.
Yeah, in that order.
Okay. Why don't you explain both?
Okay. So very simple. Effectiveness is whether the stated objectives before the campaign are being met or not.
The marketing objectives that are set before a campaign is
marketing, business, all sorts of objectives.
Okay.
And efficiency is that whether the path taken to meet those objectives is the most optimum path or not. Can it be made faster? Can it be made cheaper, etc.?
So efficiency is not just cheaper, it's also faster.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So for example, there are times when it takes you a whole long 8 weeks long campaign, 6 weeks long campaign to be able to generate awareness of your product amongst a certain set of audiences. Now, if you want the awareness scalar to be faster, you can ride what we call as typical impact mediums to do it in a few days. IPL, for example, or a Times of India front page, for example, are ways of scaling up awareness or, any kind of brand metric very, very fast, although they come at a price.
Very expensive. Yeah.
So again, it all depends on what is your stated objective. So if efficiency is about reaching the stated objective faster, then this is all kosher. Yeah. So therefore, effectiveness and efficiency, that is how I define them.
Okay. Why then? I mean, to me, both sound equally important, but you made a specific point to say effectiveness before efficiency. Explain that. Why is that?
I have started adding this after listening to my previous boss, and I understood, he repeatedly used to tell me this, and he's right now the CEO of Sleepwell, Mr. Nilesh Mazumdar. So, and I understood it. He used to say it in, in reference to a lot of BTL work that we used to do. But I honestly think that it is equally applicable to any work that you do. Too often, you will find that marketers are very convinced about trying to find the cheapest way of, taking a particular creative, buying a particular sale from the consumer, and
Right. Bang for the buck.
bang for the buck. So therefore, what gives me attribution, what gives me quicker sale. So therefore, you directly jump onto efficiency. Yeah. Now,
Right.
if you are only chasing efficiency, unfortunately, in the long run, it might impact your effectiveness.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So we have spoken about this too many times on our episode, where we say that if you're only chasing immediate sales, you're not really building a brand, and therefore your ROAS will continue to be high.
Right.
Building the
Continue
brand,
to keep increasing.
correct. And building a brand will actually help you to bring down your ROAS over a period of time. Yeah.
Right.
So therefore, first look for effectiveness, which is how effective your message is with the consumer. Then how effective your chosen media is with the consumer. Then look at efficient ways of riding that media, efficient ways of communicating that message.
Lovely. I like the series. You said, get your message right, then pick the medium, and then look at making it efficient.
Correct.
In that particular order. It also follows a logical flow, but let's start with the messaging. How do I get the messaging right?
Actually, that's the most critical part in all of this. And that is what I wanted really to talk about in this episode. How to get the messaging right. If I have to boil it down, it'll be two things. Number one, getting your insight right. And insight is something which is a combination of human truth, a particular tension in it, which can be resolved by your brand or your category.
Right. It's the life insight of the customer or the consumer you're targeting.
Yeah. And some kind of tension that they have against their desired state, which only your brand can relieve. Yeah. And too often I've found that you land up in an insight by asking a lot of whys, because too often the insight originates from the deepest core beliefs or the motivations or joys or sorrows of a consumer. Yeah, it is all about belief or attitude, right? Nothing else. All other stated behaviors, everything emerges out of one of these two, three. It is either a belief, attitude, or a fear, or a desired state that they want to get to, right? So the first component of crafting an effective message is knowing the right insight. Yeah. The second part of the message is about crafting the message itself. And usually I have found the TFD formula. Now, you've worked on Oreo earlier. Oreo used to speak about TLD, which was twist, lick, dunk.
Twist, lick, and dunk.
So I am talking about TFD. Yeah. TFD is think, feel, do.
Right. What you want your customers or consumers to think, feel, and do. The action you want to do.
And in that, I would say, first say, what does your consumer think, feel, do today? Now, after the messaging, what do you want the consumer to think, feel, do tomorrow?
Right.
If pre and post. So if you've got your insight right, then you will be able to articulate this much better. And when you articulate this, the more intuitive it is quite likely it will be the most effective.
Right. And even, I think we spoke about this even when we discussed insights per se, right? The most intuitive it sounds, the most obvious it sounds, that is what makes for a good insight.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
and therefore
the message. And, I think rather than complicating it any further, this is it. That's it. This is effective messaging. I'll possibly finish off with an example. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I remember this ad. Now, I don't know how old it is. Will it give away my age? Maybe, I don't care. So there was this Paro and Gulabo ad by Bajaj Platina.
Okay.
I wasn't a brand manager there, but I will like to hazard a guess that they were trying to break into Hero Splendor market in small town and rural. Yeah, or CD100 market, because CD100 as well as Hero Splendor used to promise mind-boggling mileage,
90 liter,
90,
100 liter,
97,
right? I don't
100,
know.
etc. Right? And therefore, small town consumers used to really throng to Hero showrooms. Right?
Right.
So therefore, my guess is Bajaj Platina was trying to crack that. And when I saw this ad, I really thought that they had got their insight brilliantly right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, maybe when they were trying to find this out, they said, okay, efficiency is completely owned by Hero
Right. Efficiency of the
motorcycle.
motorcycle.
Now,
Right.
should we go ahead and say, okay, theirs is 100, ours is 120? Maybe, but it's a losing battle. You are already playing on the competitor's playground and you're going down their rabbit hole. Yeah, tomorrow they can come back and say, now we are 122. What will you do? So therefore, the best way of taking this on is to find your own ground. Right?
Right.
So they would have gone through the small towns. They would have spoken to the consumers. Okay, what else is your consideration? What else is your pain point if it is not a consideration? And I'm sure during those immersions, now it sounds intuitive, but they would have found this insight which says that I want my bike to give excellent mileage, right? But the roads of my village or my small town are broken, and hence it impacts my back. How I wish I had a bike which had great mileage and which took good care of my back too. Riding comfort. Yeah. So they don't require riding comfort which is given by a cruiser bike. They're asking for very basic thing, that somebody who sits behind me or myself, the driver, our backs shouldn't hurt. That's it. That's the simple demand that they have, right? And therefore, I think Bajaj Platina found a way to solve it using their shock absorbers. And when it finally came down to articulating it, I think they were able to do it very well. They showed two bikes, one obviously unbranded but very clearly a Hero Splendor. And there are two drivers sitting on both the bikes with their helmets on. And then there is a group of scientist looking guys with their lab coats, etc. And they are, placing the dolls, the dance dolls on both sides. Now, these are the dolls where, their head as well as their, their whole, they're wobbling dolls.
Head and
yeah,
body.
the whole waist and the head, etc. shakes. Now, that is something that they place on both the bikes, and then the bikers are asked to drive for a certain distance. Now, you could really see that the doll on the Bajaj Platina bike is the one that is very easily moving, smoothly moving. And the one behind Splendor is the one which is shaking very vigorously. And at the end of the ride, they find that the doll which is behind Bajaj Platina bike is something which is still very peacefully moving. And the one behind Splendor is the one that has broken into two parts. Yeah, those dolls are called Gulabo and Paro and Gulabo. Yeah. So very nicely shown with a clear device. Now, they couldn't have shown that, and it wouldn't have looked believable that the guy sitting there has back pain, this guy doesn't have. So they found a believable instrument of showing it, right? And for an extra measure, the scientist, when they're going from one bike to the other to place the doll, the scientist skips over a pothole. Yeah. To really indicate that I understand the kind of roads that you guys drive on, right? So from a think, feel, do perspective, the consumer thinks today that, I drive on these roads where the petrol pumps are really far, and I work on very thin margins in my agri business, and therefore I need something which saves me money, right? Therefore he feels that I need to buy a bike that gives me greatest fuel economy. And therefore what he does is he consumes he consumes all the information, compares bike by their fuel efficiency. After the messaging, he says that, okay, not only do I have to save money, but I have to take care of my back also, because going to a doctor will also cost me money. Yeah. Therefore, he feels that I must also look at the rider comfort, and hence consider bikes that are great, that have great mileage, but also have great comfort. And hence, what he does is at least books a test ride with Bajaj Platina. Right. So that's how, I'm assuming that's how the brand manager would have thought about it. And that's how they crafted their message.
I'm amazed that you remember this ad in such detail. Definitely betrays your age and how old you are. I'm not. How old you are. So, but having got the message right, you're saying it's going to be effective anyway. Now that you've decided this is the message and this message is going to have its impact on the target audience, then you can choose any medium that works for you to manage your effect.
Correct. Now you found that your consumers are small town consumers. Then you can sit with the media team and say, what is the best way of making this reach the small town consumers? Is local newspapers the best way? Is TV the best way? Because TV will give you huge amount of spillage in urban India also. Yeah. So therefore, do you want to use radio? Therefore, or you want to use some apps that are majorly popular in small towns, etc., etc. That's where efficiency game starts, and that's the right time to play that game.
Got it. Perfect, Sudeep. I think that's a wonderful example, and the wonderfully detailed example that you give. I'm going to find a way, and let's see if we can link this to the show notes so that people can also see the old ad. But I think it's very important for marketers also to understand what is effectiveness and what is efficiency, while our ingrained nature, our instinct is to move towards efficiency first. Taking a pause to get your messaging right, to make your communication effective, actually helps you to be more efficient in your execution. Perfect. Thanks a lot for this episode, Sudeep. See you next week.